This one's going to be a good one. We have 3 more Trainual customers that are going to be talking about how they have transformed their businesses with Trainual. And these are happening not all at once, not a big panel. It's just back to back, right? With different conversations with you. So I'm going to hop off. You can run it and have a blast. Hope everybody is just on fire from wanting to be the next top Trainual customer.
Yes. All right. Something to aspire to. I saw that in the chat a couple times. Like, I want my account to look like this, or I want my company to look like this. And I just want all of you to know that that is part of what drives us. We want to set the example. We want to help show you what it's like to run an organized, well-documented, process-driven company, because we want all of you to be able to mimic that example and surpass how we're even doing it here. So that's part of why we open up all of our systems. It's part of why we do all of the webinars and content and social media stuff that we do. It's all in service of you all to help build better businesses. So let's go ahead and bring on some of those businesses. The first one that we're going to be talking to is going to be Diane Adams from Advisors Excel. We have 3 awesome companies, 3 awesome people, all that have built out Trainual in really cool ways. So we're going to get to dive into each of them. Diane, how are you?
Hello. I'm so excited. I'm pumped just like everyone else.
Oh, me too. The energy around here is crazy. I'm just like, I haven't been on in a few hours. And so anyone that's here in our office is just watching me pace from side to side of the office. We have this like Pop-A-Shot machine, and I was shooting. Everyone's like, Chris, shh. I'm just like, I'm sorry. I'm so excited.
So Chris, I've been pacing around the office too. I haven't just been sitting here. I've been writing notes, pacing around, dancing to music. The tunes have been great. Thank you guys so much. It's been so awesome.
Cool. All right. So for everyone that doesn't know about Advisors Excel, can you just give us a quick overview? What's the organization all about?
Sure. So Advisors Excel is a fantastic FMO, and we love acronyms, right? An FMO is a financial marketing organization. So what this company does is they sit between financial advisors and carriers and vendors and have great affiliate partnerships. And so they really navigate the contracting, licensing, commissions, training, and helping those advisors really create solid businesses so they can help serve their clients.
Awesome. And so I want to pause already because you said something that could be a great tip. An FMO is, and you went on to explain it, someone that's new in this industry may not know that acronym. And so one of the things we always recommend is to have that glossary of terms, that like company terminology, because I didn't know what an FMO was until 44 seconds ago. So thank you.
You're very welcome.
So what's the scope and scale of the organization? Like how many people, what's it all look like?
So Advisors Excel is about 600-700 people. They serve about 2,000 advisors with about 300 to 500 core advisors.
Okay. All right. Awesome. So how did Trainual intersect with Advisors Excel? How did you find us? What was going on when you came across Trainual?
This is such a great question, Chris. So we provided a survey at one of our leaders events, and we asked the question, what are your top 3 pain points? Where are you really hurting and where can we help you? And the answer was resounding. We really need help with onboarding. We need help with training. We really need specific role training. We need accountability and we need reporting.
So why do you think that was such a pain point? Did you talk to each of those people?
You know, what's really interesting is we all know this. We know why this is a pain point because we have experts everywhere who have information everywhere, and they have not consolidated that. And even if they've consolidated the information, Chris, it's still in a binder, okay? It's probably still on a shelf, or best case, we've got it in some drives.
Yeah. Scattered everywhere. Most people have the knowledge. It's just stuck in people's heads. It's in documents. It's everywhere. So of course, I get it. So how are you using Trainual today? Like, give us the overview.
Oh, cool. So what we have done is, because we're serving this field of advisors, we have worked with one of our lead advisor offices, engaged an independent consultant, had them work with this advisory to create a hero model. So exciting. So taking all of the workflows, the processes, policies, even the company information, to give some structure and understanding of how to use the platform. And we've built what we're calling the model office. It's fantastic. It's been deployed to our field so that when people sign up for Trainual, they have this content that's already created. It puts them light years ahead. We've also integrated the internal Advisors Excel training into that. So we're really leveraging that comprehensive playbook, one-stop shop for all of that onboarding training information, and then leaving them with an amazing playbook.
So you have both internal training for your own staff and then the advisory network and the training that goes out to all of them. And I think that's a really important point here, because so many people ask me, can I just use this for my employees? And it's like, well, you can use it for whoever you want to train. We have people that train their customers. We have people that train contractors, partners. Trainual at one point a few years ago raised a venture capital money. I trained the investors before they got to invest in us. It was like, you want to know about the company? Here's how to do it. It's
fantastic. And there are just so many uses. And what we found is this was a solution for the advisors first. And as we started working the project through the company and people started hearing about the project and what Trainual could do, Advisors Excel themselves became very excited about using the platform internally. We have had to really give them the Heisman, like, wait. Let's get this launched with our advisors first. But now we are turning that spotlight inward and running a pilot with Advisors Excel. It's very exciting because it does, once you have leveraged it for one thing, Chris, as you know, the uses are endless.
Yeah. So can you tell us a little more about the hero model? Because I've never heard it called that, but I think it's incredible. People that have aspirations of multiple locations sometimes will start with like the corporate location or the prototype or whatever that is. And I want to figure out how we can apply this to everyone that's listening. Yeah. How can they pick that hero? So tell us more about that.
Well, and I would start with you, Chris, right? Trainual itself is a hero model. When you start with 300 templates that you can choose from and have some organizational structure, we start there. So that's where we started, right? Leaning into that and saying, okay, well, what do we do every day, right? That we know every single one of these advisor offices does. Because every time they onboard, it's going to be the same products, the same services, the same processes, probably the same policies, because many of them are regulated. Yeah. So it became very easy for us to create this hero model. It was built in a Trainual account. We did a lot of, and I know we'll get to this, we did a lot of preparation and how we were going to release this, not just to the field, but to our coaches and trainers so that they could support us with the same language. Unfortunately for me, Chris, we hadn't yet gone through the Trainual pilot internally, so I couldn't just push out some training right to the team. But that's okay. That's all right. So we've built that hero model based on best practices, very common questions, and specific roles of marketing director, operations manager, and advisor.
Okay. So when you're just getting started, did you get everybody in a room and brainstorm, here's all the things that should go in our training, or how, where does that come from?
Heck no. I'm from Kansas, so we say heck all the time. Heck no, Chris, right? So we did grab key folks, right? But it was not in everyone. As you know, when you have everyone in the room, things get real messy real quick. It's very hard to take action quickly. So we grabbed some experts. We created a very small project team. What we did do is set expectations quickly and clearly. And those expectations were, we're going to over communicate with each other, right? We are not going to speak negatively about this project outside of this room. We can talk about it here, right? Everything is really positive. And we need to make sure that we're training as we go, right? We don't want to just drop this parachute on folks. As you know, with ops training, and anyone who has demoed Trainual before giving a little preface, it's a lot. It's a lot for the eyeballs when you don't know what you're about to get. So just a lot of planning and strategy around it, but not with a lot of people at first.
Yeah, that's an important lesson there. I think a lot of people would just have this tendency to open it up and say, what does everyone want to do? And when you get a lot of cooks in the kitchen, on one hand, it's a collaborative process. Sure. On the other hand, it's hard to get anything done. And so was there a perfect small team size for you of how many people to loop in?
Yes, we had 5. We typically have 5 to 8 people. And we bring in, and this is what we do, Chris, we bring in the experts as we need them, right? And, we do if we need a copy expert, if a legal expert, a design expert, they're coming in typically individually into that project team versus having everyone in at one time, because we don't want to waste someone's time. They don't care about design if they're copy. They really don't.
Yeah. Smart.
So
Okay.
it's just leveraging folks.
Yeah, it makes sense. So did you have to get to the why? Like, why are we doing this? Or was that baked in? Did everyone just know why?
No, we definitely led with the why. And it was always, this came from a survey. The advisor specifically told us this is what they want us to do. These are the 4 components. And I just told you those, right? It's that onboarding, training, specific role training, and then the accountability of reporting. And once everyone knows those things, it's just so much easier to navigate. The biggest thing, Chris, I think is, as all of us know, all the insiders, I think, would agree with this, is there's a gut reaction with change to white knuckle and say, we already have things in a hard way. Right? And so we really did not want folks who had great influence in the company walking in the halls talking about it. So we were a little goofy and secretive at first. We really were. And we talked about, we're going to be a little secretive at first because we're strategically getting buy-in. And so we staged it, right? We staged the trainings, the releases, how we did everything was very calculated.
Well, you said it right there. It was strategic in how you went about this, because, you know, if you just force the change down people's throats, you know, it's like, there's going to be resistance. There's absolutely going to be pushback. And I love that you even set the expectation of, we're not going to talk negatively about this project, and that you gave everybody a clear why of, this is coming from our customers, our advisors. You know, for a lot of other people that are listening, they may have a different why. It may be that we're trying to open up a second location, or we're trying to expand to a new market, or we want to prepare the business for a transition or a succession kind of event. So there's all those different whys, but I love how intentional you were about that.
Very. And, you know, Chris, our why internally is we have a lot of coaches supporting all of these fantastic advisors. And when they call in for support, we want those coaches to be able to access that information very quickly. And I was doing a demo today, Chris, and I use this language and I love it so much. As a performance coach myself, Trainual really helps with confidence, right? They get that confidence and the connection immediately, and content right there. Confidence, connection, and content. And that has just really been the magic sauce for us.
Oh, I'm going to use that again. I'll give you credit, but I love alliteration.
I do it. It's great.
Favorite thing. All right. You've been an incredible champion within the organization too. I know that you do webinars and you are a promoter of this, but I'm sure once you exposed it to everyone, you got some pushback. And so how have you overcome that?
We sure did. That's a great question. So as you know, anytime you roll anything new out, there are always naysayers. And in our environment, fortunately, it's typically people who just really want to know more. And so we overeducated. We really just overeducated. We involved the founders of the company, had a webinar with that group, did a really intensive demo and training. The great news, Chris, was we had already released it to the field about 10 days before. That isn't typically what I would have wanted to do. In retrospect, it worked out great because guess what? Insiders, we know Trainual's amazing. So the advisors were so excited with what they were getting. By the time we had the team training with the founder, okay, the advisors were already calling in. The advisors were already frothing about how great Trainual is. And so it was almost a forced bias, right? You have greatness. How can you argue with greatness?
Yeah, it's like it's sort of like a new business might get a couple case studies in order to go out to the market and say, look, it does work. You're doing that internally. You're saying you need to get some buy-in to be able to strategically get everyone else involved. So that's
Absolutely. And we've done intentional drip marketing too, Chris, as you well know. Internally, as we just talked about, very intentional strategic marketing. And then externally, we're a marketing organization. So we're super intentional about how we're engaging those users.
How do you make it part of your culture? Because you're always creating new training and new content to arm your advisors. And so how is that something that you're just regularly doing? Do you have a cadence for what you want to produce or how often you want to update things?
It's really, and so a lot of it is compliance related. Okay, so we are regulated by compliance. So we're driven by an annual or an every 2-year need to look at that information. But Advisors Excel is an event-based company. All right, so one of the marketing funnels, we really lean into our events. And you can get into a really cool flow of how to update your content, knowing you're going to have event resources coming up, right? And you need to prepare your coaches and all of your team members to speak to the same tune, right? Provide the same messaging after the event, before the event. And that's great opportunities for updating content. It's just a natural flow. So we've got the push from legal and compliance, and then we have the push from our marketing. What are we doing in marketing? That really drives everything we're doing with content.
Yeah. And even though you're an event company with actual events, everyone that's listening here has these events that happen in their business that are the catalysts to updating things. And that event could be you've got someone new starting and you're working toward that start date, or you've got a new big strategic meeting and you're working towards this go to market. So I think it's good for everyone to think, even if you don't have real events, what are the events that happen, the milestones in your business that would prompt you to do this work?
Every demo I give Chris is an event, right? Every coaching call is an event. They're all considered events, and it changes the way that I look at that meeting.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Okay, so I'm gonna throw you two real softballs here at the end that are just gonna let you talk about whatever's working for you, because that's the point of this. We want to give people a look into what some really successful, customers of ours have done. So, open-ended question. Do you have any tips or hacks or maybe certain features that for you have been especially useful?
Oh, yeah. I love sharing this. So I am a trained technical writer. That is what my degree is in. A lot of people get very intimidated by AI when they're writers. Okay. We've heard this so much recently, right? I am not one of those people. Okay. I get so excited when I see my magic wand sparkling for me, right? When I know I can do content development with AI, and I use that thing constantly. And Chris, I'm going to tell you a little secret. I use it when I'm not using it in Trainual. It's so good. Okay. Right. It's just a great tool. So I love Loom. I love AI content developer. Trainual captures amazing. I'm addicted to Trainual tags. Okay. The NFC tags have been game-changing for our offices. I mean, game-changing for redundant, annoying question security system, right? Of course.
Wow. I love that. Wow. Well, for anyone that doesn't know what tags are, we haven't talked about them that much recently, but Trainual tags they're NFC near field communication tags. You can just search NFC tags anywhere online. And if you want to buy some, they're actually integrated with Trainual's mobile app. So you can connect content. And that's what Diane's talking about, is that any content in Trainual can be attached to that physical tag. So if you have locations, offices, equipment, anything you want to tap your phone to, and it pulls up your training content. So thanks for the shout out on that. I don't think we've talked about tags today.
Yeah, we're definitely doing some creative things and using those at events and empowering the attendees as they leave. Very cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay. Last question for you. For someone that's kind of just getting started, maybe they've had an account for a little bit and they haven't rolled it out yet. Maybe they see the potential and they hear what you're saying and it's this aspirational thing, but just feels like so much work. Where would you recommend that they go to just get some quick wins? Like, what's the easiest place to start for a new person?
I have a favorite. So it's my favorite link. It's the Get Started Your First 30 Days at Trainual. That is my very favorite link because it really gives you all of the categories and the sequence of success right there. So I really tell people, go to that first, kind of look at that, go through it a little bit, go ahead and book your appointment with your success coach with Trainual a few weeks out, and then get your butt into Trainual U.
Great tips, and shout out to Trainual U again and Sean Jensen, who put together all of that content. I saw someone saying in the chat that they were so surprised it was free, but honestly, it's like it's 3 levels of training certification. It goes deep on learning
so
design.
Awesome.
Yeah, so great job, Sean. Diane, anything else you want to share with the group here?
Just really, I know a lot of people get really excited about a shiny new tool. I'm one of them. They get very excited. And then they jump in and they are like, oh, it's operational stuff and logistical, and I have to actually work. Yeah, you're going to have to do a little bit of work, but I am here to tell you that it is absolutely worth it. And the work of it is fun. Once you get in there and you start doing this, I don't know about you insiders, but I love jumping into Trainual and knowing that's going to be my day. It's so fun.
I love to hear that. Well, wait till you get your hands on the new stuff we just launched, because I've been using that and it's more fun. I'm
so jealous. I'm so excited.
Yeah. Great. Well, thank you so much, Diane, for coming on. You've been an awesome advocate and champion and partner. And so we appreciate you.
I appreciate you. Fangirl over here, Chris. Thanks so much.
All right. Thank you. Amazing. So many good tips there. Thanks again to Diane. we're going to bring on our next guest here, Adam Wingfield. So Adam, if you haven't seen Adam before, he was on my podcast, Organized Chaos. So you can look up the episode, or maybe we can drop it here in the chat. But Adam is both a user and a consultant of Trainual and helping other businesses get organized. Adam, my man, what's going on?
What's up, Chris? How you doing, man?
I am great. It's so good to see you again.
Likewise, man. Good to see you too.
Yeah, I've got to tell you. So Adam came by our office back in, I think it was January. And when you came into the office, you had this shirt on. It was like a Givenchy, like it had the logo. And then on the back, it's like in reverse. And ever since then, I've been telling the team, we need some swag with the Trainual logo in reverse, like some high fashion Trainual swag.
That would be hot. Once you get that, man, send it my way. I'll be the first one to rock it.
All right. So your influence is felt here at the office.
I'll take that.
All right. So in addition to a fashion trendsetter, you're also a trendsetter in the trucking logistics industry, right? So for people that don't know about your business, can you give us a little bit of insight?
And I've been in the trucking industry 23 years. And, I started Innovative Logistics Group in 2006 as an asset-based carrier. But I really realized that academia is always in my heart. And I really saw there was a big gap in just overall coaching the entrepreneurs, because the entrepreneurs sometimes in a trucking industry, quite frankly, are not up to speed where they need to be from a business perspective. And that leads to some of the most highest failure rates and the most aggressive investments that you have to have in order to do so. And it's just painstaking to see some of these folks go out of business. And a lot of them, because it's just the things that from a formation perspective, just being able to follow steps and processes it's really important, man. And, the last couple of years specifically, we saw 100,000 carriers get started and 96,000 went out of business, which was absolutely just, it's just mind blowing. So that's where our home is. And that's where my baby is. My baby is to really help create processes and systems to ensure that these trucking companies that are starting are successful.
Yeah, it's crazy that, I saw a similar stat. Actually, I think the same percentages. It was like of all the businesses that get started, 96% or something don't last more than 5 years. And it's really, I don't want to say that the systems, the training, the processes are the only thing that gets you over the fence, but it is a major thing of how you package together what you do in a scalable, sustainable way. And so it's definitely not hurting, right?
Absolutely. When I think back at even in my journey and as I go through, there's so many evolution phases that I learned along the way that I wish that I had in the beginning documented and thought those processes out all the way through. Because what we found ourselves in the beginning is we found ourselves doing a lot of repetitive work that took so much time out of really going into the advanced stages of entrepreneurship. And it really, just kind of think about it, it's like, man, we lost so much time and so much opportunity just because we were doing things that we should have done in the beginning. And I see a lot of truckload carriers doing the same thing. And unfortunately with them, that second chance is usually not present.
Yeah. It's hard when you get started. So, I mean, in trucking, I don't think we talked about this last time, but is there a lot of turnover? Is there a lot of seasonality? What are some of the reasons why you think that training, the operations piece is so necessary?
Well, some of it is there's a lot of turnover, and there's a lot of things that rely on just success at the roadside is what I call it, that rely on the operational integrity of running a company. There's a random roadside inspections, for example, that a driver has to be aware of the steps and the processes in order to prepare themselves for that in advance. There are things that when you onboard a driver, and this is one of the things that what I love about Trainual, and especially one of the newest updates that we can talk about, which is like one of my favorite updates, that provides them with that assurance that expectations are set in the beginning. And it's not about me giving Chris the keys and say, hey, got your driver's license, good, here's your truck, here's your keys. There's so many things that you need to know when you get behind the wheel of a truck for a truckload carrier. And there's so many expectations as a company owner that you have to set in the beginning, because if you don't, then those expectations become assumptions. And when expectations lead to assumptions, we know what the result is from that. And that's the reason why I think that the biggest thing, and we talked about this on our last podcast, one of the main reasons why a lot of companies fail is because they don't have repeatable processes documented, and they're not following those repeatable processes.
Yeah, I find that performance issues are a lot of times expectation issues. Like if you're having a problem with somebody and they're doing something wrong, did you even set the right expectation? Do they know what they're expected to do, what their role is in the business? Do they know what their responsibilities are? Have you given them the instructions, the best practices on how to do those things? And if you can check all those boxes and you know that you wrote it down, you communicated it, they went through it, then you get to performance and you're like, okay, it's something that I need to correct with the person. But if you haven't done those things, there's something to correct with the process, right? Like you have to go back and figure out, is it your fault? Because so many people will hire someone and then be like, why can no one do this job? Well, maybe you're not giving them the keys, trucking metaphor intended, trucking pun intended. You're not giving them the keys to be successful.
Well, I can tell you, even when we're coaching business owners, even on that level, man, and I can share probably 100 different examples where they were in scale, the owner was in scale, and they kept seeing this residual turnover at the support level. And it makes you wonder, you go back into, you start looking at things in specific examples where there's like, yeah, this person, they're supposed to get this spreadsheet, didn't get this spreadsheet updated correctly. They're a bonehead and, I need to hire somebody smarter. But then when you look back at it, we think about things like a Q&A checklist, right? Do you have a Q&A checklist process in place where if me and Chris, we have a deadline on Monday for a document to be submitted to me, where's a checkpoint before it gets to Chris to ensure that when it gets to submitted to me, then we know, hey, you know what? I'm putting my stamp of approval. That's 100%. Just like on that sweater that I wore, that shirt that you're wearing, it doesn't go straight from the last person that puts the last stitch or the last button on. It goes to the last button and then it does what? It goes to QA to ensure that, hey, you know what? We double check and we triple check those things. And that's the process for quality assurance. And a lot of times in small business, especially in trucking, there's a process here and there for everything, but one of the most important process that's devoid is a process of quality assurance to go back and ensure that those things are being followed. And I find that be very, very, unfortunately, it's very abundant in my industry because it's so fragmented. It's like information's all over the place. And that's the reason why, we said, you know what, we're going to take a platform like Trainual and we're going to introduce it to the truckload community and we're going to give them the tools and show them how to really to frame those things up. Man, you see how simple it is. And now it's all on the execution of the owner.
Yeah, let me zoom in on quality assurance there for a second, because I don't think anyone's talked about this today. But, in Trainual, we built it so that every subject has an owner. Everyone every process has someone that's accountable for making sure it's done right, that it's updated. How do you see that playing out in your business or the businesses you work with? How do you leverage that owner as QA?
So the biggest thing is that because especially if it's a document, like if we're an accounting perspective, right? When we go in and a lot of these folks, they're getting funded daily, and those funds, there's sometimes where there's mix up with paperwork, and you have a mix up with paperwork, you could be short $10,000 in the middle of the day. And by having that owner and having that person say, hey, you know what? Not only does the accounting rep own it, but so does the financial person, or so does the CEO own it. So now that they understand that, hey, this is how that process goes. This is how I want to submit it. This is how you submit it. These are the four corners that it needs to be submitted on. This is the time it's got to be submitted by. This is what it needs to look like. This is the quality of paper it needs to be submitted on. So those are the things that make it a lot more easy for the end user to be able to understand exactly what they're supposed to do. And on top of that, you do know who owns that process, right? And that comes down to a lot of things, is that if nobody owns the process, you can't hold nobody responsible. And at the end of the day, that's the key to one of the keys to success in business is everybody has to own something. When everybody's doing everything, nobody's not responsible for anything. And a lot of times as small business owners, and I can say in general, one of the biggest pain points in scale is having everybody be accountable, have everybody be responsible. But then most of the times it's so much chaos going on. Everybody's doing everything and nobody's responsible for nothing. And that's the thing that I love about having technology tied into documented processes. So now I know, okay, Chris, look, this is yours. It's your baby. All right, let's talk about that. Now we can go key on more of the performance and we can take less out of the process. And then that makes it easier to scale. And man, I tell you, I go back 5-6 years ago, man, when we really started to scaling this thing, man. And I'm like, man, golly, I'm so glad that, we ran into you guys in the early phase, because back then I was putting out how to do this, how to do that. And I was just documenting. And I didn't have an end goal. I didn't have an end vision. I didn't know I would get to this point. But then when I look back at it, and then I see people that say, hey, is it really, really important for you to document your processes in the beginning, even if you're small and you only got one person or two people? Absolutely. You gotta prepare yourself for scale, or you prepare yourself to fail.
No, I love that. Prepare for scale or prepare to bail.
Yeah,
That
that's
needs
it.
to be on a t-shirt. Maybe that's going to go on the t-shirt with the backwards logo. I'm going to use that. I love that. Now, one of the best ways I've heard it described is that, you can be accountable or you can be responsible. A lot of people can be responsible for doing something in a business, but then you've got to find the person that is accountable for it being done right. The person that owns it, that oversees it. And that's what that QA is all about that you're talking about. So I love that. Thanks for sharing that. Let me ask you another question, which is, you document so much stuff in there. If you could only capture one thing about the business, one area of the business, what for you would be that area that's made the most impact across the organization?
Specifically in the trucking industry is the driver qualification files, period. Because number one, it's regulated. It's regulated at our level, in our transportation, the transportation industry is regulated in a lot of different things. But because we're able to go in there and we're able to document that, not only we're able to document that, you guys knocked it out of the park when you provided the SIG cap. So now we can go in there, we can document it, but then on the driver's side, they can put their little signature in there to make sure that we can verify that it's been signed and it's been appropriately read. Now that removes the accountability in the event that there's an accident, there's an incident, there's some type of litigation down the road to saying, hey, Chris, you guys did not train him on this. We've got to hold you accountable. And you're like, well, no, hey, actually, here it is. We've got a signature that you actually got trained for it. So it actually pulls some of that liability back. And it also, more importantly, it also puts that responsibility back down on the driver. And, you can delegate responsibility all day long, but you can't delegate accountability. And that's one of the things that I love about having that. And I love about installing those processes. And specifically for that one, man, if there was just one, that would be the most important one for us.
So I think it's a good question for everyone listening to think about is just, documenting everything feels like a huge burden. It feels like it's going to take forever, but there's got to be a couple things in your business that will just make massive impacts. And you don't have to wait until the whole thing is done to roll it out. Make those impacts incrementally in the business and just really get started, right?
That's it. I mean, the thing is that you only need to pick out a few things. You pick out, 1 to 5 things and just start there. And then the one thing that I found, it's almost like, it's almost like a tree. It continues to grow branches when you start finding out, okay, you know what? Now we need to document this. Now I know how to plant the tree. Now I've got to document the times that I fertilize. Okay, now that I got to document the times that I fertilize, now I got to get a watch to document the type of watch I need to read when I'm documenting the fertilizer. So the most important thing is to start, whether it's 1 thing, 2 things, 3 things, is the most important thing is to start the documentation process. One of the things that I keep going back to my journey, I can't speak on anybody else's entrepreneur journey but mine. But one of the things I found, one of my biggest issues is that in the beginning, I overwhelmed my mind and wanted to document everything. And when you get that, you get yourself in that mode of analysis paralysis. Now you're like, you know what? I've got this huge operation. I got all these things I got to document. But if you just start with a few things, start with those top 3 to 5 things that are most important to you that you got to get off your mind that 80% of your business can't function without. When you focus on those things, everything else will come into play. And that's where it came out for me.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be everything. Just pick the highest impact things. When you're working with the companies that you coach and people are coming to you for advice, not everyone wants to do this work. People resist it. And so how do you get them over the fence? How do you explain like, look, this is something we've got to do?
Man, I am going to cheat and I'm going to say when artificial intelligence dropped into Trainual, I showed them how easy it is to do it. I show them how quick. What I do is I work on teaching them to be great prompters, man. I was like, listen, you know what? I can take a 5-word sentence and turn it into a 20-paragraph thesis for you if you want. But with that, it's just really just getting a buy-in and just showing them how to just start off with just a thought. I can take a thought, a sentence, a couple of sentences, just explain to me a couple of bullet points and show them how to take that. And it helps them get out of that writer's block. Because honestly, Chris, more than anything, the intimidation is behind the work, right? We never have enough time to do anything. As founders, as startups, as entrepreneurs, we never have the time for do anything. The most important thing that I can do is I can show you that I can give you time and I'm not going to take more of your time to provide you more value. So the biggest thing behind that is really leveraging technology, using those tech tools that you have, that artificial intelligence capability that it has is really, really important. And that gets a lot of folks over the hump. I did a speaking engagement the other day, right? And one of the things that we were talking about was creating driver ads. And when you think about a driver ad, man, you got to be like, okay, man, I got to put all this stuff in here, got to do the pay. Where do I start? The whole 9 yards. But I showed them how to pull 3 different artificial intelligence systems and use 3 different ad placements out of it. We created ads in like 3 seconds and showed them how quickly that you can use that. Most of the time is getting people over the hump and getting people the ability to understand they can get their time back by just leveraging technology. And you guys have kept up with that and made it a lot easier for me to do that.
I appreciate that. Well, I was even surprised. Like earlier, Rach was doing the home makeover with Bradford. I don't know if you were on for that. And she put in like the simplest 5 bullet points and it wrote 5 paragraphs of information. And I like, it even surprises me sometimes how much it builds out. So it's pretty cool.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. So I'm going to ask you the same couple of questions I asked Diane at the end of her interview. So first one, very open-ended. You already mentioned AI. Is there any other tips or tricks or functionality that's been like a game changer for you?
So I didn't catch her part, but I know that when we use tags on like, for a driver, for instance, and they need to learn how to do a pre-trip inspection, or they need to learn how to use a particular module that's inside the truck, or they need to know how to set the trailer a certain way. We just put the tags on it so they can scan the tags and they can get that NFC tag. That was a really, really big thing for us. And then like I noticed, and I mentioned earlier, that signature thing is big for us too, because in this business, and I get, you can say for any business, but specifically in this business, it's very, very important to get accountability there. It's very important to set clear expectations. And it's also very important to have accountability. And that signature tool is so important for us because what we were doing, I'll be honest with you, Chris, before that came out, we were actually embedding web links to direct them to DocuSign and paying a DocuSign subscription for them to DocuSign it, take the DocuSign and put it back in the Trainual. We're just adding too many steps to it. So now we're able to keep it in one system. It makes it a lot easier. And again, we get our time back from that.
Yeah, no, I love that. And for anyone else that's listening, if you're having to click a link and go somewhere else and come back and Trainual, I want to hear about it because maybe we can invent some more cool stuff to save your workflows. So let me know. I want to hear from you. All right, last question, Adam. The people that are just getting started, that might be stuck, that are trying to get those quick wins. We talked about, picking 3 to 5 things, just figure out the high impact things in your business. Maybe let's talk about just how to get your team's buy-in. Like, what would you say at the beginning of the process to really like build some momentum around the project of building this out?
Well, the biggest thing for me is I wanted my team to have empowerment and really to be able to be empowered to know that if I need to step away or if one of the team members need to step away, we need to make sure that as a team that somebody can come in and quickly fill in the gaps. And we scaled out another department a couple of months ago, for example, and we brought on like 25 people and scaled that department to that point. And one of the things that they wanted to do in the beginning is everybody wanted to do their own little things, right? Everybody wanted to have their own little piece of the puzzle, but we didn't find it being very, very effective. So what we wanted to do is we wanted to encourage them like, hey, if Chris is not going to be working today, or if Adam is not working today, or if Molly is not able to contribute, we got to be able to quickly go in and fill in the gap. And we got to quickly be able to go in and find the gap. One of our models is we want to be able to provide people with time. I want to be able to one day to just half the entire office can go out on a vacation and then the other half can pick it up without even have to ask questions. And the only way you can do that is really truly documenting your processes. And getting the buy-in from the team to be able to do that it's tough in the beginning. It is tough. It's tough in the beginning. And I'm not going to sit here and say that it's not, because people feel like that when you document processes, you're setting them up to be removed. And with artificial intelligence in place, it's already a concern. And then now you're saying, oh, Chris, you want me to write exactly how I'm supposed to do my job too? I wonder if I should start looking for another job. You got to give them reassurance. You got to be able to keep reassurance, being very, very transparent with your organization, no matter how big or small, whether you got 2 people or you got 200 people. You got to be transparent within your organization. That's your intent and what you're doing it for. And hopefully that'll help you get over that hump.
Such a good example, man. I'm so glad you said that because, again, I don't think we've talked about that much today, but one of the things I say is if you want to grow, you got to be able to let go. You got to be able to let go of certain responsibilities, to let the other people do them, to let other software do it, because it opens you up to do the higher value work in the business. And so part of documenting and writing down these tasks is that it gives everyone in the business a little more autonomy to solve the bigger picture problems. And so it's not about replacing people. It's about being more efficient, doing more with less, and really being able to scale. So such a great point. Thank you for mentioning transparency there. Adam, anything else you want to say to the group here?
Now, I think that from an entrepreneur perspective, we went through some tough times over the last 2 years. And one thing that I can say, and I'm not going to put out a crystal ball in it, but if you're in this room, if you're an entrepreneur and you're going through it, guess what? You made it. This is probably one of the toughest times. If you think about it, we've never had a pandemic before. The folks that's on this call, you and I have never been through what we've been through, but you got this far. Now we're on the other side. Now it's time to hit the gas pedal and let's go. So let's use that as momentum to go into next year, man. I wish everybody massive success. I wish you massive scale, and I wish you the opportunity to have everything that you desire in life. And I just hope that you could take anything from this call, apply it into your business, and it 10x your business.
Man, I need like an air horn right now. I'm hyped up. Thank you so much for being here. It was great talking to you.
You too. Thank you. I appreciate it.
All right, 2 of 3 interviews, and we've got one more for you all. So let's bring Rob on. Man, that was so many great quotable things there from Adam. I'm so excited to watch that back and to put some quotes in our social media and maybe make a T-shirt or two with the backwards logo. So that was pretty fun. All right, while Rob is coming on, I'll share just behind the scenes. We've been working on getting into certain different verticals, and so if you're in an industry where you've got a ton of content, you've got a Trainual account that's really built out, and you think it's working particularly well for your business, we want to hear about it. Let us know, because then we can maybe dig in with you and figure out some ways to partner and to do some things together. So, Rob, how are you?
I'm doing well. How are you doing, Chris?
I am great. All right. So I hope it's okay for me to share this, but you're in Italy right now, right?
Yeah, with my family. We have 4 kids. Anna's 11, Jack is 10, and the twins are 6. And we're on a train from Florence to Rome right now.
Wow. Okay. Florence is one of my favorite cities in the world. So I'll just say buonasera, buonanotte, whatever I'm supposed to say right now. Messaged a few days ago and I asked you about this and you said you could do it. You were like, what time is the thing? I gave you the time and you're like, well, I'm in Italy, and it's going to be about midnight. And yeah, absolutely. I can do it. So thank you so much. I didn't know you're on a train as well, but that's got a fun Trainual little connection there.
There you go. Yeah.
All right. So tell me about Anna and Jack's treehouse and what you guys do.
Yeah, it's cool. So it's actually a pretty special month for us. So it's a daycare company, and it started quite literally 10 years ago this month in our basement. My wife, Christina, was a kindergarten teacher in the Bronx, and she started it. We started off with 4 employees and 12 kids. And up until 4 years ago, we had 18 employees and 40 kids. And today we have 146 people with 300 kids across 3, about to be 4 and 5 locations. Yeah, it's pretty intense.
Wow, what a growth story. All right, so we're going to get into this, specifically the multi-location thing. One question I want to ask, though, as we get started out. So Anna and Jack are your kids, right? And
yes, yeah, it is, yeah.
And so a lot of people will, have these special connections, these personal connections to their business name because they want to tell that story. They want to share what they're all about. And so I'm curious, how do you package up some of your culture, some of that story as you're training all of your people?
Great question. So like I said, this started in our home. So we tend to do a lot of things at our house. And what's really cool is we bring people into the basement and we say, hey, this is literally where the daycare started. Now it's a man cave and like a kids play area, but we left a couple of things, like there's a window outside and it says, shh, baby sleeping on the window, because that was from the daycare. And where the kitchen is now my bar. And we kept just a couple of knickknacks, but and what was also kind of cool was, in the beginning, anytime we did a community event, we did it at our house in our backyard. So we tend to do a lot of events at our home. So that just really changes the culture. We're really big into boating. And once a month in the summer, we take 22 of our employees to a Mets game and we take them on our boat. And then we have drinks and stuff afterwards at our house. So a lot of it is with us. And if you ever took a look at our logo, there's 2 kids that are in the treehouse. And that's my son, Anna, and my daughter, Jack. I'm sorry, my son, Jack, my daughter, Anna. And our cousin, who's now 19 years old, drew that logo for us many, many years ago, and it kind of still stayed with us. So little things like that are pretty important for us.
That's so cool. All right. So everyone that's listening, we just heard these stories. We heard you share these stories, about the little hidden things in the logo, about the sign in the window going down to the basement. Those things can just emotionally connect me instantly to your business. And I think that so many of us don't tell those stories. We don't share those relics, those pieces of history with our teams when we're onboarding them, when we're training them. And so that's such a great reminder for everyone to build in some of those early newspaper clippings or the photos of your first location or those fun stories that, about your logo. I love that you shared that. So thank you.
Thank you. And that's a part of so we do all of our tours when people want to look at the daycare, we do them virtually over Zoom, and we share our screen and we show them around the school, and we usually show them pictures of where everything first started. And, something that's really cool is the fake wood floors that we have in our daycares are the same style floors we had in our basement. So when we moved from the basement to our first school, we wanted it to look and feel as much as it could like we were in our basement. We did the same colors, the same wood, everything looks the same. So even though it's at a commercial location, it looks like you're in someone's home. So that's sort of another way that we bridged it.
That's so cool. So yeah, it's all about that emotional connection. And so as a takeaway, I want everyone listening to go figure out what you can put in your account that gets people more emotionally connected to your business and that founding story. All right, so let's turn back to the childcare industry here. I know that there are some things that, you're legally required to train on, right? Like just to have a license, you've got to do some kind of work. But what motivated you to go beyond that and to really document the processes of how your business operates?
Great question. And it didn't happen by accident, but what was going on is we went from opening. Well, the way that we really grew was we took over another daycare that was just about to close, and we took them over. There were 42 staff members, and we needed to kind of train them on the Treehouse way of doing things very, very quickly. This was before Trainual, it was in BT, so we did it all manually. BT, and then when we opened up our Pelham location, we had all the folks that were training there, working there, trained in our Norristown or our Norwalk location, and every time we hired someone new, they would be trained by the lead teacher. But that just figure out a way to kind of get all the information to them very quickly. And when I first started to look at Trainual, I delayed it about a year because it's just so much information that we needed to get on there, and we didn't have a lot of stuff documented. Thank God, I thank my lucky stars for our consultant Erin, who helped us through it. But we were losing people very, very quickly, and we couldn't figure out why. And the reason was we were expecting lead teachers to train them on the Treehouse way of doing things, and it just wasn't happening the right way. So we knew we need to get a better onboarding. My wife and I were not able to meet all the people before they started, and like I said, we tried to use Trainual. It didn't work out because I couldn't get the time to do it. And now it's ingrained in every part of our culture. It's pretty amazing.
Once you get started, you build momentum. And so it's hard at the beginning. And then as soon as you get things in there and you see the benefit of them, it picks up. So I'll also give a shout out to Erin and to all of our consultants. And so if anyone's listening and needs some help like this, like Rob mentioned, you can just go to trainual.com/consultants. There's a whole directory, people around the world that are certified in our platform. So if you need that external help to really just be the kick in the butt to get you started, I highly recommend that. All right. Yep. So you mentioned your wife, Christina. She's in the business too. Part of Trainual is roles and responsibilities. And so I'm curious, how do you subdivide roles and responsibilities and stay aligned on things?
Yeah, so it wasn't easy because we're not only do we work together, we live together. So we really needed to kind of get our roles and responsibilities intact. And I got to be honest, there was a lot of stepping on toes. We recently adopted about 7 months ago EOS. If anyone here has not done EOS yet, please get your 90-minute consultant as quickly as you can. So originally, you guys are an EOS shop, right, Chris?
Yeah, we do some of that too. Yeah, big EOS partners. Yeah.
Beautiful. So basically, the two roles are either integrator or visionary. What's interesting is my wife is also a visionary and an integrator. I'm also an integrator and a visionary. So we actually have interesting roles there, but really basic. I handle everything finance, HR, legal related, and she handles everything that's more related to the care of the kids and making sure that the directors are doing what they're supposed to. So she's more responsible for that now.
Oh, that's cool. Yeah. And the EOS framework is fantastic. So again, recommend looking into that or, any of those systems on the structure of your business. It's really important to have that dialed in. So that's cool that it works out like that for you guys. All right. So let's get back multiple locations. For a lot of people on this call, the idea of opening a second location is hard to even imagine. And I'm sure at the beginning, when you thought about that second location, that third location, not everything went right? Like there were probably some things that just weren't dialed in. So what were the struggles with replicating what you did?
So the biggest sort of aha moment was we had a family that moved from our New Rochelle location to our Norwalk location, and they said it's just not the same. And we were shocked by it. That's not the same level of care. And it was because the people weren't doing the same thing. So that was sort of a big moment for us, that we knew we needed to have everyone sort of on the same page, doing the same thing, speaking the same language. That was pretty important for us. And now that we're opening up our Larchmont location, which will be this January, we're already putting folks through Trainual. And what was really cool was we actually had all of our lead teachers, assistant teachers, and even some of the parents go through Trainual and say, hey, we're missing this, or this would be really nice to add. And then we went live. So that's sort of how we did it. But it's funny, running 3 or 4 locations is easier than one location, because now you're forced to kind of scale up and figure out different things. Mm-hmm. And we're nervous about other things with opening up Larchmont, but from having everyone, training wise, we're cool because of how Trainual works out for us.
Yeah. So it's, of course, it's helpful to have consistency across locations. You want the product, the experience to be the same, but I'm sure there's also some things that are intentionally different between the locations, right? Like you've got some different instructions, maybe on where to park or what to do, or the staff's different. And so have you built out unique training for any of these locations?
We have. And what's also different is Connecticut has some different regulations than New York. So there's some differences there. And we haven't done it yet, but we are in the process of trying to figure out a way to onboard our families onto Trainual. Here's what it's like to be a part of the treehouse. Here's how you pay your bill, all that stuff. So we're still trying to work that part out, but we thought that doing everything we do for our teachers, I think we could do for our parents as well. And I think that would be really helpful.
Oh yeah, that's a great idea. We've had schools do that with parents. Like, the room parents will send it out to the rest of the parents on how everything is supposed to work. And so I could totally see that working. So I don't know if you were on earlier, but the groups functionality, the new locations functionality is going to be huge for you. So if we haven't talked about that yet, we have to set that up for you guys. All right. So you're in Italy right now, I know. And I also read somewhere that in your centers, you make your own homemade pasta sauce. Is that correct?
So it's really cool. And I think this is so special for the Treehouse is at each of our locations, we quite literally have a grandma cooking food for everyone every day. 2 of the locations is an Italian grandma. The other one is not. But so people are coming in the morning and Mrs. Gina, who's been with us since 2014, is literally like making fresh tomato sauce for the kids. If it's like ravioli day or something. And it's really, really special. And yeah, it's pretty amazing what we put together, what she puts together.
I love the metaphor there too, because, so often in our marketing, we talk about, your secret sauce or your secret recipe is for your business.
That's the secret sauce. Yeah.
And so you've got the literal secret sauce, and then you've got all of your processes and SOPs, which are also part of your secret sauce. So I love that it all goes in Trainual. We've got Kelly in the chat asking if 57-year-olds can attend your daycares. I'm sure maybe that's another market for you.
We'll get into adult daycare when they're, at the end of there.
There you go. All right. So last couple of questions here. I've been asking everybody, but pretty open-ended. What tips or tricks or hacks would you suggest, like the functionality that's been most crucial for you as you've really adopted the platform?
So what was interesting was, this has to be a cultural thing. Not many millennials use email. They have email, but they're more into text messaging. So send out our alerts and updates, we have to make sure they get a text with it as well, because they don't always check their email, which is interesting. The tip and trick I would say is find a consultant that you're really comfortable with and have them help you go through the process, because they know all the tips and tricks already, and it's well worth the money. Like I said, we tried to do it before on my own, couldn't do it. I highly suggest Erin Matthew, because she was so amazing with us. I would also say, have some of your key people go through it. Once you think you're done, you're not. There's going to be a couple different things you're going to change. Go through it a few times yourself. Have other people go through it and just give you, really honest feedback. It's still not going to be perfect. We're still iterating things today. We're still finding things that we need to update, but I think people are really going to appreciate it. If you can get your senior level employees that have been there a long time to adopt it early, it's going to be really helpful because most senior people are going to say, well, wait a minute, why do I need training? I've been here for 10 years. What's going on? But if you can get them bought into this and how it's going to help their job and help them just be easier because, the people below them will be trained, it's going to be amazing because eventually those folks are going to say, hey, what do you think about Trainual? And if someone that's been there for 10 years is saying, it's amazing, I love it, it's just going to be that much easier. So I would say, make sure you get all the leadership on board before you try to roll it out. Don't shove it down everyone's throat.
Great tip. I was talking earlier, the first interview we did on here a half hour ago was with Diane, and she was talking about exactly that you need some of those influencers, those people at the beginning to help you roll this out, to control the narrative and the change management. So that's a great tip. And then in terms of people not wanting to check their email, I would also add on that our iOS and Android apps and the smartwatch notifications are a great way for people to just say, oh, there's something new that I need to go back in and do. So make sure if you're listening, you download those apps. All right, last question here. Again, just pretty open-ended, but what kind of advice would you have to someone that's just getting started, that's maybe hasn't signed up yet, or just signed up, or is 6 months in, hasn't done a single thing, and is like, man, I really need to figure this Trainual thing out?
Don't be scared. Just kind of jump into it. I mean, if you're an entrepreneur, you're a risk taker, you have you can take a high level of pain. I know this is a little bit daunting, but just kind of jump into it. I would say looking back, we could never think of doing things any other way. And we have so much more time now to work on the business versus in the business because we're not, hiring more people because they're leaving. We're not, doing old way, sharing Excel spreadsheets and using Google Docs. There's just so much more time you're going to save by doing this. So if you're already stressed out about those types of things, just kind of move forward with it. And in 6 months, you're going to be looking back saying, how did I live without this? And how could I, why didn't I do this further? But I would say just jump right into it. Get your feet wet.
I love it. All right. Great advice, Rob. Thank you so much for jumping on. I know it's late. Please thank Christina and the kids for us. And I appreciate you signing in from Italy.
Will do.
All right.
Thanks, guys. Take care. Bye.
All right, everyone. 3 incredible stories, 3 incredible customers. And those 3 represent thousands and thousands of entrepreneurs and leaders around the world that are using our product to systematize their business. That's what it's all about, right? When we open this up, I shared that we as Trainual want to inspire, to motivate, and to help you build a better business. And that's why we talk to these customers. That's why we've had so many podcasts and content that we put out. It's because we want to show you examples so that you feel like you're not alone in this effort to make your business run better. But part of building a scalable, sustainable business is brick by brick by brick, solving problems, and brick by brick by brick, documenting or coming up with your company's way that this should work. What does right look like? What does success look like? And when you can invest that time and get clear on the expectations and alignment between you and your employees, when you know what everyone in the company's role is and what success looks like in their role, then you can solve bigger problems. You can spend your time and your efforts solving the big problems about how to scale the business, how to charge more, how to find more customers. And that's what we're all trying to do, is grow businesses, support more people, and build a great life. So if you're using our product, I just want to say thank you. I want to show you we appreciate you so much. We love connecting with you. We love hearing your stories. And so if you've ever taken the time to comment on one of our social media ads or to message me on Instagram or LinkedIn or something, just know that I appreciate the heck out of you, to use Diane's word, and just love interacting and watching your businesses grow. So with that, I want to bring Jonathan back. He's been our host for the day. He's done an incredible job. Jonathan, we got to hear some of your music as well. So that was pretty cool. Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, like I said, we started with the straight out of Google Docs video that's on Spotify under Trainual, just like our song with Montel Jordan. But of course, during the breaks, I had to sneak a couple of my own songs in there. But what a day! This was just so fun, amazing sessions, so much energy in the chat here. Like I love doing these events for our community. Chris, why don't you recap the features that are live now versus what's coming? Because that everybody's going to close out the event here. If they haven't already on the breaks, they're going to dive into their accounts. Or if you're here and you don't have an account, create one for free, trainual.com, sign up, poke around, play with the tools that you've seen outlined and demonstrated today. But Chris, what's the rundown here?
Yeah, so the two big things that hit your account today, first is the ability to import from Google Docs or Word Docs. And so if you're just getting started, if you haven't gotten much into your account, start there. Go into your, section, your company section, your policies, your processes section. Click on the little drop-down menu to create a subject. And like Taylor demonstrated this morning, there's that split button on the right-hand side. It shows you the option to import content, and you want to just drag everything in. That'll at least migrate all your content into Trainual, and it'll make it instantly searchable, which is the second feature that's available now. So that AI-powered search, that ask Trainual anything functionality is live in your account. So whether it's imported material or anything you've created natively in Trainual, all of that is searchable. So if someone has access to the content, they can ask Trainual about it and get those answers. So play around with those things. Everything else that you saw, so the content editor, the content library, the groups functionality, all the sharing by groups, the training order, all of that functionality will be coming in our September release. And so stay tuned for emails from us on exact dates so that you can be ready. We didn't want to roll all those things out on you today because, like we've talked about a little bit here, change management is an important part of adopting new best practices. And we don't want to just hit you with all of this stuff changing in your account. So what we're going to do is over the next few weeks, we're going to get you a lot of educational content, help docs, email drip campaigns so that it's coming, and then you'll be able to switch on these features or have plenty of notice of when we're turning them on for you so that you can access all the new functionality. But again, all of this by end of September is meant to make your account very fast, very connected, and create this new integrated people and content experience that really just doesn't exist elsewhere. You can document your business anywhere. You can use paper, you can use a whiteboard, you can use a free word processor. But what we're doing is taking it up a notch by connecting all of that content and knowledge in your business to the exact people structure of your organization so that you decide who needs to know what, who does what, and how do they do each of those things, always up to date in your business. That's what we're building for you.
Well said. Who does what and how, the vision. All right. Please, as Chris said, we love connecting with you, whether here on the chat. I know that I've already seen some like LinkedIn messages from people that have been tuning in and connecting and sending, contact requests. I love that. And Chris does as well. So does the rest of our team. Anybody that you've, shouted out along the way, Tara, Bradford, Rach, gosh, I don't know. Like we had so many presenters today. Mallory,
Rachel, Chelsea, everybody. Yeah,
exactly. Yeah. Like we all love connecting with all of you. So like on LinkedIn or wherever else, just search us. But of course, follow along with Trainual. It's just at Trainual on all the different platforms. The engagement on those giveaways has been so fun to see. The like tag the process champion in your company. I think the last time I checked, I don't know, 2 hours ago, there was like 65 comments and tags, and it was just
cool.
Like, so keep it rolling. The winners will be picked and announced tomorrow for those giveaways. So stay tuned.
I want to throw one more thing out here. This is not a guarantee. This is not a announcement of any kind, but this community has been so fun. Like the chat all day has been so entertaining and enjoyable. I don't know if everybody was there this morning, but I think Taylor has sold like 15 bottles of his shampoo on Etsy for people that wanted to know shampoo. And Bradford with the jacket, the new job. I think he's moving to Montana as a joke. It's just been so fun. And so I want to interact with everybody in the chat, like in real life, IRL. And so I'm just curious, if we ever did something in person, put in the chat, would you participate? Would it be something you'd be interested in if we got everybody together? Because if there's enough demand, we might do something, but we're leaning on you. I want to know, is this something that you would participate in? And so put it in there if you're interested. I would love to just hang out with you all. But Jonathan, I love hanging out with you too. You're in Boston instead of in the office right now, but we're going to see each other next month.
Yeah. I'll be out in Arizona at the end of September. I'm out. Right. I'm like almost every month.
Okay. So all right. Cool.
We have no shortage of time together. But I love the chat already. It looks like there's a lot of demand for some in-person time with the Trainual team and community.
Cool. All right. Anything else before we wrap up?
No, just a big thank you to our entire community. Everybody here that's saying yes, 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 yes. and it's leaning in, creating with Trainual, rolling out all of these best practices and the features that we've rolled out today to your team, bringing what we're so passionate about to your business, to your team, to everything that you do. Like it goes both ways. The appreciation is here. So thank you. Thank you.
And thank you. Special shout out to Becky behind the scenes. A lot of people are in charge of running this event and getting it started. But Becky, I know you're carrying the bulk load of the work to prep for this. So thank you so much for all of your efforts, for pulling off a great event. Everyone else, we'll see you on social. We'll see you on LinkedIn. We'll see you on the templates inside Trainual. And please do interact, but thank you for spending part of your day here with us. We can't wait for you to get your hands on the new stuff we've been working on. And thank you so much for following along, for being part of our community around the world. We appreciate all of you, and we'll see you again next time.
Talk to you soon.